Long ago, Fat Joe came out and said he lied in 95% of his rhymes. What did you think of that?
He told the truth for the first time, that he's a liar. That you can't believe nothing that comes out of his mouth. He's a liar.
The whole gym.
Like
70 kids
robbed him?
without a gun. Like, yo, everybody give me your coats, give me your Walkmans. I couldn't even carry it. Some of the guys I robbed had to help me carry the stuff with them.
He's been called out by several people in the industry. Some even nicknamed him Tino. Let's take a look. Fat Joe is undeniably one of the most entertaining figures in hip-hop. Fans point out how engaging he is whenever he's in storytelling mode. But the line gets crossed when stories shift from entertaining to unbelievable. Some are so over the top that even people who weren't there can tell something doesn't add up. Take, for example, one of his most absurd stories. Fat Joe once claimed that in high school he robbed his entire gym class. Not a few people, but the whole gym, about 70 students. And he said he did it without a weapon, just walking in and intimidating 70 teenagers into handing over their stuff. Interview, 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 interview. As if that wasn't wild enough, he added that he couldn't even carry everything, so some of the people he was robbing actually helped him carry it out.
The whole gym.
Like
70 kids
robbed him?
without a gun. Like, yo, everybody give me your coats, give me your Walkman.
That's the part that really threw people off. Creator Will Mills spoke on this and echoed what everyone was thinking. He pointed out how unrealistic the whole thing sounds. First, the setting, a Bronx gym, would have had too much going on for that to happen unnoticed.
Some of the guys I robbed had to help me carry the stuff with them.
Then the number itself, 70 students, and somehow no one fought back or questioned it. They just stood there and let it happen. Mills even gave Joe the benefit of the doubt, saying maybe he robbed a few kids, one or two. Sure, maybe he robbed a few kids, but 70 by himself and even getting help from the people he jacked, that's where the story falls apart.
A whole gym. A Bronx school gym. The Bronx.
And that's just one example. Fat Joe has told several other eyebrow-raising stories, like his claim about Tupac. Back in 1995, Joe was on the radio talking about the East Coast versus West Coast beef. He said things that allegedly caused tensions with Puerto Rican inmates loyal to him.
Because I'm pretty sure he probably robbed maybe one or two. Because I knew dudes that I went to school with like that. But 70? Come on. Come on, man.
According to Joe, Tupac got wind of it and personally called him from prison asking for help with a Puerto Rican inmate giving him trouble.
Joe, what you think about Tupac and all that? I say, yo, he's cool, but, you know, if they step to me, it's going to be Tupac's locked up upstate in New York. The Puerto Ricans hear that, and they're, Papi, Tupac got beef with Fat Joe.
Joe claimed they talked, cleared the air, and there was no animosity. He even said he sent a message to his guy, Charlie Rock LD, asking him to protect Pac in prison.
Who pretty much put me in the game, one of my brothers, he said, yo, Joe, I got Pac on the other line. I was like, Pac?
But in a recent interview, Tupac's cousin, William Lisa, shut that story down. He explained that while Joe had influence with Puerto Rican people, the idea that Pac needed his help didn't make sense.
On me, like you said something in the radio, I don't got a problem with you, Joe. Like this, I know what's up, this. And so, you know, we sent the kite out to the Puerto Ricans and be like, nah.
According to Lisa, the people running the New York State prison where Pac was held actually knew and loved him.
It's strength with Puerto Ricans, his people. But as far as Tupac being in prison, having to call Joe to keep the Puerto Ricans off his back because they think that he got beef with Joe in the street or some, I don't know about that.
Pac wasn't in a place where people would walk all over him. On the contrary, he was surrounded by strong allies from the start.
They people that love us. They family members.
In fact, when Pac arrived, people were waiting with care packages ready to look out for him, though Pac didn't even want their help.
People was going to walk all over him. That wasn't going to be the situation. He was in prison with people who were strong.
Hussein also said the only reason Pac was moved from general population to segregation was because of his connections to these powerful figures. Prison officials didn't want incidents, so they separated Pac. The idea that some Puerto Rican inmate pressured him to the point where he had to call Fat Joe doesn't add up.
There were people already with care packages for him. Like strong people. that is telling Pac, if you got problems, let me know. I'm gonna make sure that the CEOs know blah, 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 and this and that. And Pac telling him, nah, that's all right. I don't need none of you guys to help me.
That's just one time Fat Joe got caught exaggerating. Another exposed lie was about Big Pun. For years, Joe publicly claimed he took care of Pun's wife and family. After Pun passed, he said he gave her money, tried to help her with the business, and kept her stable financially.
People in Clinton taking him out of population and putting him in segregation so that he don't incite anything. Does that make sense to you? That some Puerto Ricans is gonna put pressure on him so that Pac can call Joe of all?
But according to Gangugu Roach, who helps artists' families recover royalties, that couldn't be further from the truth.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I thought I did the right thing. She spent the money unwisely, right? She comes back and says, Joe, I'm doing bad again. We give her a check out of our pockets. We say, yo, we got to...
Gangu revealed he actually took Joe to court on behalf of Pun's wife after finding out Joe had been stealing royalties for 14 years.
$1,000, I told him enough's enough. Everybody bought it and believed it. It was all lies and mediation. We had him admit that he never gave her $1 in his life.
Oh, so he didn't give her no
Nothing, not $1 in his life, he never gave her.
Joe was allegedly generating fake royalty statements with Jelly Bean Benitez, sending bogus reports to Pun's wife.
Joe was telling her that, oh no, he owed me money. You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, a bunch of fake royalty statements started to come biannual.
She had tried multiple lawyers before, but none got her justice. When Gangu stepped in, he finally took Joe to court and exposed him.
2000 to 2014 fake royalty statements was coming out.
2000 to 2014?
Yeah. Joe used Jelly Bean Benitez as a publisher. Jelly Bean Benitez was Madonna's ex-boyfriend from the early 80s. He produced a bunch of Madonna records back in the early 80s. He remixed, he DJs now.
Here's where Joe's lies pile up. Not only did he claim he gave Pun's wife money when he didn't, but he also went on interviews denying the court case ever existed. Gangu said he couldn't believe how easily people bought Joe's lies. He also revealed that when a Big Pun movie was in the works, producers wanted Joe's influence to help push it. Joe allegedly refused, unless Pun's wife publicly said he never stole from her. She refused because he did.
It probably took me like a minute and a half to see the deception. I called her up, told her I paid for the case, paid for the auditor, took him to...
At this point, Joe isn't just a liar, he's a thief. And somehow people still eat up his stories like they're true.
You know, we were like, hey, you know, let's get Joe involved. You know what I'm saying? Because it's gonna be bigger with Joe. If you do it without Joe, Joe can get all these other people involved. But he was basically saying like, well, if you go on Instagram or if you go out there and tell publicly that I never stole from you, then I'll work with you. Otherwise, I'm not working with you. She's like, why would I do that? You stole from me.
Another questionable tale came from a bold claim he made about none other than the notorious B.I.G. In 2023, Joe sat down with Cam Capone and dropped what he thought was a mind-blowing revelation. Joe claimed that back in the day, he and Biggie recorded a full project together, an album of 8 to 10 songs. The reason we've never heard it, according to Joe, is that it was scrapped and destroyed because the tracks were too disrespectful, packed with Tupac disses.
He said that he never gave her $1, zero. So the $750 he was talking about, he lied. The $250 he's talking about, he lied. As you see now, people are starting to see that he lies a lot, but I don't understand why nobody reprimands.
On the surface, it sounded believable. Joe and Biggie were both from New York, shared the same scene, and had mutual respect. At first glance, people thought, okay, but once fans dug deeper, things didn't add up, especially compared to Joe's past statements. In September 2018 on Vlad TV, Joe said he and Biggie had worked on an album, but only recorded 4 songs before it fell through, with Puff Daddy and the Hitmen producing. Then in March 2021, while live with Swizz Beatz and Timbaland, he changed the number to 5 tracks. And then came Lil Cease, one of Biggie's closest people. In December 2021, Cease told Vlad TV Biggie hated the East Coast versus West Coast beef. He made it clear to Junior Mafia that dissing Tupac was off limits. If you record a diss track, I'm done with you. That shows where Biggie's head was, focused on music, not drama. If he was that firm with his own crew, why would he suddenly record an album of packed disses with Fat Joe? Then in January 2022, Cease appeared on The Art of Dialogue and shut the rumor down completely. He said he never once saw or heard Biggie recording with Joe. At most, they might have talked about it, but that was it. But as far as actual songs, Cease said none ever happened.
But they was like really disrespectful and hateful, and
And so he died and Tupac died.
And how many songs did you guys do?
I don't know, but a couple. Not maybe 8 songs, 10 songs, you know.
He also stressed something important. Biggie wasn't the type to drop full-on diss tracks. Sure, he might throw slick lines, that's hip-hop, but a whole tape of shots at Tupac? That wasn't him, especially when the beef was spiraling out of control. There's also a mysterious rumor about a lost World Star hip-hop clip where Diddy supposedly denied knowing about any Biggie Fat Joe album, but no one can find it. Maybe it existed, maybe not. Still, fans don't believe Diddy would let a full Biggie project vanish, especially when posthumous releases made serious money. If music existed, Diddy likely would have released it, unless there was a strong reason not to. Maybe the tracks were too disrespectful and he shelved them to avoid more drama. Cuban Link has also doubted the story. He admitted Joe had a relationship with Biggie, but said the idea of an album was exaggerated. He's called Joe out before for being less than truthful. In one interview, he gave his version of events about a track Joe claims was part of this mythical album. According to Cuban, he, Pun, and Joe once visited Diddy's studio where they met Biggie. For Cuban, it was his first time meeting him. After introductions, Biggie explained he wanted a Spanish-flavored intro for a track. Cuban, being fluent, was hesitant as a rookie, but Pun encouraged him. He and Pun laid down the intro, Biggie loved it and hyped them up. Then Joe jumped on the mic to add his part.
Said that him and Biggie was working on an album together, and he said that they had a whole lot of Tupac disses on the album. How you feel about him saying that?
I don't think so. I'm sure I was around for a lot of stuff, and I didn't hear none of that at all.
Here's where it gets messy. Cuban claims Joe now takes credit for the Spanish intro he and Pun created, using that snippet to fuel the narrative that he and Biggie recorded an album.
For them, so they could do it in the studio, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they could do it, you know, because you say you wanted some Spanish shit, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Pun and Joe, you know, was there, and Pun looked at me. I was the rookie at the time, real rookie, like, oh, shit, y'all want me to do this? So they both put me to do it, right? So me and Pun went. So then after me and Pun went and did our stuff, Biggie was like, yeah, he was hyped up. Then Joe went in there and he put his spice on top on a separate track by himself.
Cuban sees it as exaggeration. In his eyes, there was no album, just one collaborative track in the studio. But Fat Joe's questionable stories about Biggie and Tupac aren't the only drama. In 2022, he sat down for an interview and made another bold claim, saying he was responsible for getting Trick Daddy and Pitbull their record deals.
The fact that he did an album with Biggie, incredible liar, disgusting.
That didn't sit well with Uncle Luke, who quickly called Joe out on Instagram. Luke, a Miami hip-hop pioneer, set the record straight. I love Joe, but I discovered Trick Daddy. He did his first song with me when he got out, and he stayed with me. I also discovered and signed Pitbull to Luke Records. I found him off battle rap tapes. I have the receipts. I also found DJ Khaled on underground radio and brought him to mainstream radio. Luke's response was backed by NFL legend Deion Sanders, who added, tell them hero. Luke always been that dude. The music you listen to today is because of his conviction and fight. After the backlash, Joe went live with Luke to clarify, but fans cringed. Joe backtracked, saying he wasn't claiming discovery, but that he was the catalyst for their deals. The video, however, showed Luke looking confused and skeptical. Fans called Joe's explanation disjointed and unconvincing.
Made sure that they played it. They wasn't never gonna play it. 6 months later, he was rich. Pitbull, I took his demo and got him signed. Trick Daddy, I took his and got him signed.
Even Trick Daddy weighed in. To him, the idea of an East Coast rapper like Joe helping a Miami artist get a deal made no sense, especially during a time of tension between East Coast and Southern rappers. Trick said plainly, there was no Southern artist working with East Coast rappers back then. For someone from the East to get a Miami brother a deal with no strings attached, I don't see that happening.
I know you discovered Pitbull. I never said I discovered them. Luke, I took his demo out of love for hip-hop.
Fans found Trick's perspective logical, pointing out how East Coast rappers often look down on Southern artists. The idea of Fat Joe advocating for Trick's music seemed far-fetched. Trick even speculated Joe might just be forgetful or hallucinating. The incident sparked heavy criticism, with fans accusing Fat Joe of undermining the contributions of black artists to hip-hop. Many saw his claims as rewriting history, inserting himself into narratives where he didn't belong. And if that wasn't enough, Joe has also faced allegations of being a snitch. Although he's denied it, his attempts to clear his name only made things worse. In one video, instead of giving a clear explanation, he rambled with unrelated tangents and vague statements.
He loved me like a brother. As far as him hearing about me or hearing my music and taking it to somebody to hear it, probably did. For me to think that somebody from the East Coast was going to get a brother from the South, let alone Miami, and take his music and go get him a deal with no points, no strings attached, no nothing, that I don't see that happen.
Although Fat Joe is still respected in hip-hop, these missteps have tarnished his reputation for some. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you on the next one.